Hello everyone, Tommy Girl here with another episode of Let's Play Riven, the sequel to Myst. Last we left off, we were exploring the third island we've been to, also known as Crater Island, and we were able to go through the vent, as you can see right here, and get into this room. We've explored a lot of the other parts of the island, but this is a new room for us. Now we just did look around and we don't see anyone coming, so hopefully that trend continues because, sneaky, sneaky, we don't want to be caught. Oh, let's check out this thing in the middle of the room first. What do we got here? A book. Huh, it looks like, kind of like a linking book, a very skinny one, but the panel here doesn't do anything. So, I guess that's not useful to us, and it looks singed. Oops. No, I don't want to open it again. I'm just kidding. Alright, let's put that back in there. So it looks like this is a incinerator. So maybe this was like a reject, like you were a failure, I will put you in there to burn. Maybe. It was just a thought. Now this is where we came from. That's the vent. So what's on this table here? Well, there's this thing. What in the world is that? It's got a pointy thing, maybe a weapon? Maybe you pull this back and... yeah, this looks like bamboo, maybe. And, but yeah, nothing we can do with that. There's, there's a lot of strange things in this room I don't recognize. Interesting. Is that like a pipe, maybe? No. It could be, I suppose. Not entirely sure what that is. What have we got? We've got a book here that looks important. Empty? Oh, wow. Look at all this text. Goodness, I don't want to read through too much when we're not sure if somebody's coming. But, whoever wrote this knows English, and I see Catherine Atris as I'm scanning a little bit, so this looks really important to us, but we'll come back. We'll look through it more carefully when we can make sure we are safe. Also, wow, it's one of these things. Okay, that's the dunny number 1. So we found these balls, they kind of look like wooden eyeballs. Now that I take a closer look at it. But these wooden balls, we found the dunny numbers 2 through 5. 2, 3, 4, 5. But we haven't found 1 yet. So here we go. Now we have 1 through 5, which makes it feel like maybe we've completed something. But there's no sound associated. But we'll come back to that as well when we come back to the book. Gosh, there's a lot over here. Got the trap that we were using to catch the frog earlier. Bullets, maybe? Gosh, we don't even know whose place this is. Oh, someone was catching those frogs. Okay, that makes sense because we saw that contraption. But for what? Writing stuff? Eggs? Wow. Somebody's really using the wildlife here for their own personal things. I feel like I was trying to come up with a word more complex than the word things right there, but it just didn't happen for me. Alright, what is this? What? Okay, so it looks like there's water in there. And it looks like there's heat at the bottom. And it's making the water do some really strange things. Like all the water went to the top, it looks like. And hugged the outsides. Which is interesting. We've been seeing water do some really weird things in Riven. And, you know, maybe it has to do with heat. We had all those indentations in the water. When we went through the cart area, there was those rings that you were going through this water tunnel, but we didn't see any sort of glass holding it. So maybe it has something to do with heat to keep the water, like somehow water must have a different property here than we're accustomed to. Okay, so this is the door we haven't seen yet, or gone through yet. So what I want to do is I want to check out, see if there's anything out here. Make sure, we're pretty sure there's no one around in the island area we were in. Unless they show up in the cart. Of course, someone could always show up. But let's check out the rest of this island area. See if there's anyone around, and then try to figure out whose room that is and if there's any more information, which it looks like there was some pretty interesting stuff. Okay, there's the bridge that goes to the gold dome that we couldn't cross. It looks like there's the cart, actually. Yeah, the cart looks like it went through there. The cart we took from Jungle Island, which is over there. So there's Temple Island. There's Jungle Island. And here we are on Crater Island. So you can see there's also, wow, there's an island straight across there. So we know there's at least 4 islands so far. And it looks like there's a tram, but it's not here. Well, there was a blue button inside, so that probably calls the tram. The fact that the tram is gone, that's probably a good sign that whoever is here, maybe the person is over at this island, and they took the tram over there, and they're not going to be back. So I feel like we'd hear that coming, but I think we're clear. Hopefully, while we're snooping, no one finds us. Hopefully, we weren't too obvious by being like, look where we are. We're out here staring at things. Alright, so let's not... This must be what calls the tram, because that's how it was on Jungle Island, I would guess. But let's not press that yet, because if somebody is over at that island we haven't gotten to yet, and the tram just leaves unexpectedly, they might realize somebody's here, so that would be frightening for us. So, okay, so we looked at most of the stuff on this table. It was mostly this. We want to read some things and figure this out. Let's start with the shorter message right here next to this ball. Looks pretty important. 87-7-28. Interesting. This seems to be the same dating system that was in Atris's journal. If we bring that up. Oh, it starts us at the end, see? But you can see the dating system. Not the same handwriting as Atris's, though, which makes a lot of sense. We know he's not on Riven, but this could have been like an old message. It's clearly not. So anyway, last week, while monitoring the situation of the villagers from the scope in my survey room, I observed one of the natives swim out to a small object that appeared to be floating, but anchored near the entrance to the bay. I ordered the object removed from the water for inspection. Several days later, however, I was surprised to see another floating there. The missing object had apparently, and quite mysteriously, been replaced with a new one overnight. I've long been aware of the existence of similar artifacts on the villagers' island, but have paid them little notice until now. Tomorrow I shall send surveyors to catalog the others. Interesting, and obviously this is a picture of the things we've been finding. Now it says on Villagers Island, which we've been calling that island either Jungle Island or Village Island. I assume that's probably what he's talking about because we saw these artifacts on that island. We did see something anchored in the bay area, that the lake bay area. I've been calling it the lake. But I saw something anchored there, but you really couldn't tell what it is. But looking back, it could very well be one of these circles anchored, with like a rope or something. Now we don't know for sure, and we can't jump in like that villager did. We don't have that option. But if that thing we saw is in fact what this entry here was talking about, then that would be where the number 1 is. And if our history shows anything, there should be an animal associated. Well, this doesn't make a sound. It's very possible that whoever owns this place took out the sound mechanism, but we don't really know. But since it was in the water, it might have something to do with a water animal, or maybe there's a shape that we just didn't notice while we were over there. We'll have to take a closer look if we can't figure that out, or maybe we don't even need to know this. But clearly there's a reason that they are putting these around. It was so important that somebody else put another one of these out in the bay, and whoever put that entry investigated it. So I feel like it must be important, but we still have no idea why it's important. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to read the journal. But I figure as an audience you might not want to listen to me read about 10-15 minute journal. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pretend that I've finished it in this video and then go on to basically sum up the things that I read in the journal. If you want, please click on this video right now or below in the description bar. I'm going to have a supplemental optional video where you can actually listen to me read the entire journal if you like. But if that's not your thing, stick around in this video. It's going to cut ahead to the very end, and then I'm going to go through and basically sum up all the major points of this particular journal. Goodness, that was a long journal entry, or journal in general. A lot of reading. Now that it's finished, though, I'm going to go over the sort of main things that we learned. I feel like the most important things that we learned a little bit by flipping through and just kind of discussing some things that we learned throughout the pages. Now, of course, the most important thing we learned is the fact that Gehn wrote this. He's discussed specifically, he never states, I am Gehn, but he states that his son trapped him here. He talks about Catherine. He dropped a number of hints and basically called himself Atris's father. So, I mean, it's basically stated that this is Gehn's journal, which is really good for us because it makes us learn a great deal. We need to learn more about Gehn. Also make some impressions on how we as ourselves feel about Gehn. We know how Atris feels about Gehn. We know what we're supposed to do with Gehn, but is Gehn actually a bad guy? Are we just hearing one side of the story? We don't necessarily know. So anyway, there's some discussion about the fissure. Gehn believes it's probably safe to go through the fissure, but may collapse this world, so it's not safe. But Gehn, sounds like Gehn did basically consider going through the fissure and trying to utilize that, and then decided against it. He's also been utilizing Dunny technology, so that's what we discussed that. What else was very important here? There's a lot of discussion of him trying to create books, which makes a lot of sense. If Atris can write linking books, it sounds like Gehn can write linking books, and Atris said that he can do that. Gehn, according to Atris and according to Gehn himself, according to the journals, believes that he can create worlds rather than link them. So it is Atris's opinion that the linking books that are written by the Dunnies just link to pre-existing worlds, and minor changes can be made, where it's Gehn's opinion that these worlds are created. There's also a little bit of research about, the place itself. He talks about the Dunny and the importance of 5, which makes sense because we've been, with what we've been seeing on Riven. Riven seems to be based around the number 5, which a lot of that must come from the fact that Gehn really values the number 5 because the Dunny, which is his culture, also values that. And it sounds like from this journal that Gehn really values the Dunny. And then, of course, we found these colors. He stated that there are 6 symbols, but he believes that it should be based more of around the number 5. He believes it'll be more like 5 colors. He's not sure how that's connected, but that there are 6 symbols. This must bother him because he really loves 5. But it looks like there are actually 6 color symbols, in case we ever need to know that. So we don't know what they correspond to, but we do know what the symbols are at least. We also know that he did link to an age. Gehn was able to link to an age, and that is where his current office is, so that makes me a little less nervous that we're just going to run into him. And if we do want to find him later, maybe we need to get to that age. And he discussed some of the technology that was required to do that. He didn't go into great detail, though. A little bit here and there, hints, something about the domes and such. But we might be able to figure out how to go to that age when the time is right. Oh, okay, here we go. Due to the Rumble's continued disturbances, I've decided to install a code. Okay, this is important. And we can read some of the Dunny numbers. It looks like we've got 2, and then numbers we don't recognize. That's unfortunate. Well, I'm definitely going to be writing that down. And thinking thinking that over, maybe there's a way to either find out what the rest of the numbers are or figure out from the information we have. Also, we learned something interesting, discussion about the guild masters. If you notice in one of the stained glass windows, there's a man above, which could be Gehn, or the god figure that they're trying to promote. But there's a guy above it, and then there are five basically types of jobs below that, and it looks like they're doing these things that they were discussing: the maintainers, the educators, the surveyors, the bookmakers, and the builders. And the surveyors have to do with those Tetris symbols we're talking about, it seems. So that is my guess from reading this. I'm gonna guess that stained glass window had to do with the five kind of job types that Gehn has been laying out with the five guild master types. All right, and then also we learn about the rebels, the Black Moiety, as they're called. Apparently, they're trying to recruit very actively, and they've been showing some violence as well. So that's something we have to really look out for. It sounds like Gehn doesn't know where their base is. Also, we learned a little bit about there's a material in these daggers, which isn't super important to us, I don't think, right now, but it's good to know. But yes, more about the moiety. But they're getting materials for these daggers outside of Riven or another area of Riven that Gehn doesn't know of. So that could give us a clue of where the moiety are. Since the moiety seem to have something to do with Catherine, it seems like we'd want to find the black moiety. So we'll have to keep that in mind as well. Also, Gehn does suspect that Atris is trying to help keep the age from collapsing, which of course we know is true. That we also discuss a little bit about the water, why it does those strange things. Gehn believes it has something to do with bacteria that doesn't like heat, which earlier we were saying we think has something to do with heat. But we don't know. He doesn't know for sure, neither do we. But we do know that the water reacts negatively to heat and will move away when heated up. So that's how we're able to get under the water and have those strange pockets we've been running into. Also, we found out that there are some kind of crystals that power linking books, and that Catherine might have something to do with that. So, Gehn has been building really elaborate power supplies, and apparently there is an easier way to do that, and Gehn is interested in figuring that out. So, those are the main things we learned from reading that. We haven't really learned, it doesn't talk about Gehn being terrible to the villagers or, plotting to kill Atris or anything like that. So we don't really get a sense of whether he's a terrible guy, and we don't even know whether it's true or not that the Dunny actually create these ages. We just know what Atris thinks. So it's very possible that Gehn has a side of this story. But of course, I am more likely to trust Atris over Gehn just because we know Atris a little better. But what do we know about Atris? We know that he punished his sons by, we don't know, killing them or something. Oh, so this button doesn't actually... Oh, it does. Okay, it did bring this here. Great. We did know that he punished his sons, but they did pretty evil things. They destroyed a bunch of ages. We know that Atris was nice to us, but he's asking us to do tasks for us. But we don't necessarily know how trustworthy Atris is. So, I'm willing to keep an open mind a little bit and get an idea of how Gehn is. But I definitely think hearing from the rebels and Catherine would be really helpful as well. So anyway, in the next episode, we're going to go and check out this other island over there, which I'm a little concerned. I was more concerned that Gehn would be there. Now I'm not as concerned because it sounds like he's been spending a lot of time in another age. But he still could be there, so it is concerning. So anyway, I will see you guys in the next episode.